Alex had never thought he would share a room with an alien. He had seen plenty of aliens on the space station before, some tall, some small, some with scales, some with multiple eyes. But living in the same room with one? That was something else entirely. The research station orbited a quiet planet on the edge of the galaxy. It was a place where humans and aliens worked together on experiments, studies, and research missions. Alex, a human volunteer, had been assigned to share his quarters with Lyra, an alien exchange student. The station rules were strict. Each species had to learn about the other, and living together was the first test. When Alex opened the door, he froze for a moment. Lyra stood in the center of the room, tall and graceful, with soft, pale skin that shimmered faintly under the station's lights. Her eyes were large and deep, almost too expressive for someone who did not speak much human language. She studied him with calm curiosity. "Hello," Alex said uncertainly. "I'm Alex, I'll be your roommate." Lyra tilted her head. Her lips moved slightly, forming sounds that Alex couldn't understand. Then she pointed to herself and said slowly, "Lyra." Alex nodded. "Right, Lyra, nice to meet you." He gestured toward the door. "I guess I should unpack." Lyra's gaze followed him. She didn't move, but the intensity in her eyes made Alex pause. Then, to his surprise, she stepped in front of the door. "I need you to stay," she said in surprisingly clear human words. "Until morning," Alex blinked. "Wait, what?" "I can't just stay in the room all night. I have things to do." Lyra shook her head. "No, you cannot leave," he frowned. "Why not?" Her eyes softened. "Because you do not understand. You run too fast through life. You need to learn to pause, to see." Alex opened his mouth to argue, but something in her voice made him stop. There was no anger, no threat, only quiet certainty. And in that moment he realized arguing would not work. "Okay, I guess I'm staying," he said, still uneasy. Lyra smiled, a small, gentle curl of her lips. She motioned for him to sit on the small bed. "Good, we will talk." "You will learn." "I will learn. We will share." Alex lowered himself onto the bed, unsure what to expect. He had been trained for space missions, for experiments, for survival, but he had not been trained for this. Sharing a room with an alien who refused to let him leave, for reasons he did not understand, was something else entirely. Lyra moved gracefully to the small table in the corner. She touched a device and a holographic screen lit up. It displayed her homeworld, an oceanic planet with towering blue spires and vast glowing forests. Alex had never seen anything like it. "Your planet. It's beautiful," he said. Lyra nodded. "It is, but beauty is not enough. Life is not only survival, Alex, it is understanding. Connection, empathy." Alex frowned. "Empathy, you mean?" "Feelings?" She laughed softly. The sound was musical, like water over stones. "Yes, feelings, humans have them. But you run past them. You do not stop to see." Alex rubbed the back of his neck. I guess I don't always notice things." Lyra leaned closer, her eyes studying him. "Good. You will learn tonight. You will see." Alex felt a strange mix of curiosity and nervousness. There was something about Lyra that made him feel exposed, but not in a bad way. Like she could see his thoughts before he spoke them. The room was small but cozy. There were 2 beds, a table, and a few chairs. The walls were lined with panels displaying data from the station. Alex had unpacked quickly, but now he found himself staring at Lyra, unsure what to do next. "Do you always block the door?" he asked, trying to lighten the mood. Lyra shook her head. "Not always. Only when it is necessary. Tonight is necessary. You must stay." He laughed nervously. "All right. Necessary it is, then." They sat in silence for a few moments. Alex tried to think of questions, of topics, but nothing came. He felt awkward, unsure how to begin. Then Lyra spoke, slowly and carefully. "Tell me about humans," she said. "Your habits, your meals, your emotions, your fears." Alex blinked. "Fears? You want me to talk about my fears?" She nodded. "Yes, and your joys. Your hopes, everything." He swallowed hard. This was not what he had expected from a normal night on the station. Normally, he would have been running experiments or checking systems. Now he was being asked to open his mind, to share himself with an alien who refused to let him leave. "All right," he said finally. "I guess I can start with small things." They spent the next hour talking. Alex described the simple things about humans. Breakfast habits, favorite music, the way people laughed at silly jokes. Lyra listened intently, asking questions and sometimes tilting her head in curiosity. She was fascinated by everything he said, especially how humans had emotions that could change in seconds. Humans, you are very fragile, she said finally, and yet very strong. Your species survives even with so many weaknesses. Alex chuckled. Fragile, strong? I guess that's one way to put it. Lyra leaned back, her eyes reflecting the holographic light of her homeworld. Strength is not only in the body. It is in the mind, in the heart. In the ability to endure, to adapt, to care. Alex felt a strange warmth in his chest. Her words were simple, but they carried weight. He had faced dangers in space, challenges that required quick thinking and courage, but none of them had felt as personal as this. Sitting in this small room with Lyra, he realized there was another kind of strength he had yet to understand. Hours passed. The station outside grew quiet. The lights dimmed and the soft hum of machinery filled the room. Alex yawned, trying to hide it, but Lyra only smiled knowingly. Sleep will come soon, she said. But not yet. We still have time. Alex nodded, rubbing his eyes. Time for more talking? Lyra nodded. Yes, talking is learning. And learning is living. He sighed, realizing he had no choice but to continue, and deep down he found himself curious. Curious about this alien, about her world, about what the night might teach him. For the first time since arriving at the station, Alex felt that he was part of something bigger. Something beyond experiments, beyond research, beyond survival. Something that connected him in a way he could not yet explain. To another being, an alien who refused to let him leave, not out of malice, but out of a desire to teach, to share, to understand. And so, as the station's orbit carried them silently over the distant planet below, Alex settled in. He did not know what the night would bring, but he felt certain of one thing. It would change him. Lyra watched him quietly, her eyes full of unspoken wisdom. You will see, she said softly. Tonight you will see. And for the first time, Alex believed her. The station had settled into quiet. The hum of machinery was the only sound that accompanied the soft glow of the dim lights. Outside, the distant planet rotated slowly beneath the orbiting station, its blue and green surface shimmering faintly through the windows. Alex sat on his bed, still feeling the strange mix of curiosity and unease that Lyra had stirred in him the moment he had entered the room. Lyra, sitting across the table, watched him with those large, expressive eyes. There was no judgment in them, only interest, a calm, deep curiosity that made Alex feel both exposed and safe at the same time. So, Lyra began softly, tell me about fear. Alex blinked. Fear now? Fear? I guess it depends. Humans are afraid of many things. Heights, darkness, losing someone, failing, stuff like that. Lyra nodded. Interesting. Fear is universal, I see, but humans also face fear and continue. Why? Alex shrugged. I don't know, maybe because we have to. Or because we want to. Lyra leaned forward slightly, her movements graceful and deliberate. You continue despite fear. That is strength. Alex laughed nervously. Strength? Maybe. Or maybe it's just stubbornness. Lyra tilted her head. There is no difference. You endure. You adapt. That is life. The conversation shifted naturally, flowing into small, simple topics. Alex told her about human meals, the importance of breakfast, the comfort of a hot drink in the morning, how chocolate could lift moods without reason. Lyra listened, fascinated, asking questions about the textures, the smells, the subtle social rules of eating together. Humans, you place so much value on small routines, Lyra said finally. It is beautiful. You find comfort in simple things. Alex shrugged. We do, and I guess it's what keeps us sane out here. He gestured vaguely at the station surrounding them. Being in space is lonely, strange. You need small things to remind you of home. Lyra's eyes softened. Home, yes. That is the same for us. But you find joy in it. Humans are clever. Even in isolation, you find ways to connect, to adapt, to survive. Alex smiled, surprised at how well she understood him despite being from another world. You make it sound so easy. Lyra tilted her head, her gaze sharp yet gentle. It is not easy. But understanding makes it simpler. Observation makes it simpler. Connection makes it simpler. Alex nodded slowly. He could feel himself relaxing, even though the situation was still strange. trapped in a room with an alien who refused to let him leave. And yet he felt like he was learning something valuable, something he could not have learned anywhere else. "Tell me about emotions," Lyra said suddenly. "Humans feel many things. You can be angry and sad and happy, all at once. How do you manage?" Alex chuckled softly. "Manage? We don't always. Sometimes it's messy. But we try. You talk about feelings all the time, or do you just observe?" Lyra smiled faintly. "We observe, yes. But we also experience. Just not like humans. Your emotions are rapid, unpredictable, beautiful. Your joy and your SE." The night was at its deepest point. The station lights had dimmed to a soft hum, casting shadows across the small room. Alex felt the quiet like a living thing. The hours of conversation with Lyra had changed him. He felt more alert, more aware, and oddly calm, even though he still couldn't leave the room. Lyra sat across from him, her posture elegant and still, her eyes reflecting the faint holographic glow of her homeworld's oceans. She had been quiet for a few minutes, as if considering something important. Alex, sensing the change in her energy, looked up. "Alex," she said finally, her voice low and deliberate, "there is something I must tell you." Alex leaned forward, curiosity piqued. "What is it?" Lyra hesitated for a heartbeat. Then she met his gaze fully. "I am not here only to share culture, or to learn about humans. I was sent to observe you." Alex froze. "Observe me?" His voice sounded sharper than he intended. "Why me?" Lyra's expression softened. "You are unique. I have watched many humans. Many are cautious, some brave, some curious, but you think differently. You adapt. You question. You do not fear the unknown entirely. That is why I chose you for this night." Alex tried to absorb her words. "You mean this was some kind of test?" Lyra nodded. "Not a test in the way you imagine. Not pass or fail, but a measure of character. Patience, empathy, courage. I needed to see how you would respond when confined, when forced to slow, when forced to speak, to reflect, to share." Alex leaned back, staring at the ceiling. His mind raced. All night he had thought she was just curious, maybe playful, maybe a little strange. But now he realized every question, every gentle insistence, every subtle observation had purpose. You knew everything," he said softly. "You knew I couldn't leave, that I would talk, that I would share myself." Lyra shook her head. "I did not know everything. I predicted. I observed, I guided. But I did not control. You chose, Alex. Every answer you gave, every moment you shared, it was yours. That is why this matters." Alex felt a mix of awe and disbelief. He had faced dangerous missions in the outer colonies, dealt with equipment failures that could have killed him, and survived storms in space. But none of that felt as intense as this revelation. His thoughts, his fears, his curiosity, all had been part of something larger than he had realized. Lyra's gaze softened even further. "Humans are remarkable. You endure, adapt, care. That is why my people respect your kind. That is why I respect you." Alex found his voice. "So, you picked me because of what? My patience? My honesty?" Lyra smiled faintly. "All of it. Your curiosity. Your empathy. Your willingness to continue even when the path is uncertain. You possess qualities rare among humans, and rare in any species." The words felt strange and powerful in the quiet room. Alex looked at her, really looked at her for the first time since they had met. She was not just an alien roommate, she was a teacher, a guide, and now he realized a witness to the best parts of who he was. "But why make me stay all night?" he asked. "Why not just ask me questions normally?" Lyra's eyes flickered to the holographic display. "Because truth comes from time, from confinement, from reflection. If you could leave, you would have been distracted. If I did not observe you fully, I could not see your potential. Humans rush, Alex, they do not pause. Tonight, you paused." Alex ran a hand through his hair, still trying to process everything. "So, all the jokes, all the stories, all the random talking?" Lyra laughed softly. "All of it. All human expressions reveal truth. Laughter, hesitation, curiosity, discomfort. It all tells me who you are." Alex chuckled nervously. "I feel like I just passed some invisible test without knowing it." "You did not pass," Lyra said gently. "You revealed. You showed. That is different." There was a moment of silence. Alex watched her as she moved slightly. adjusting the holographic display to show more of her homeworld. Vast oceans, glowing forests, creatures that seemed impossible yet somehow real. Your world. It's amazing, Alex said. I can see why you are so proud, Lyra nodded. It is beautiful, yes. But beauty is not enough. Life is about struggle, connection, learning. Humans, you understand struggle. You connect even in small ways. And tonight you learned. Alex felt a warmth in his chest. He had been scared when he first entered this room, unsure what to expect from an alien who would not let him leave. Now he understood that the night had been a gift, even if it had felt like a trap. Lyra's voice broke the silence again. There is one more thing, Alex, my people. We value bonding. One being chooses another carefully. Tonight, I chose to observe you personally because you are exceptional. Alex's eyes widened. Chose me. Personally. Yes, Lyra said softly. Observation is one thing. Choosing to learn from you to spend this night with you, that is a rare honor. You have my attention completely, as no other human has had before. Alex swallowed hard. He had never felt this level of focus from another being, alien or human. The intensity was not intimidating. It was enlightening. He felt respected, noticed, and strangely proud. I don't know what to say, he admitted. This is incredible and also terrifying. Lyra smiled, her expression gentle. You do not need to speak. You need only to be, to reflect, to see. The night is not over, Alex, but you have begun to understand. You have begun to see what makes you kind. Special. Alex nodded slowly, his mind racing yet calm at the same time. He realized that all the earlier awkwardness, the moments of confusion and discomfort, had led to this. A deeper understanding of himself, of humanity, and of the connection he could have with another intelligent being, even one from another world. The holographic display shifted again, showing strange creatures moving through glowing forests, massive whales swimming in luminous oceans, and birds with wings like sails gliding across the sky. Alex leaned forward, fascinated. Your people, they survive in such harsh conditions, he said. I don't know if I could. Lyra's gaze met his. Perhaps not. But you survive here in the station. You endure isolation, uncertainty, pressure. That is strength, Alex. That is courage. That is what my people respect. Alex felt a mix of humility and pride. The night had begun with confusion and tension. Yet here he was, learning lessons he had never anticipated. And somehow he knew that this was only the beginning. Will I see you again after tonight? He asked, voice quieter than usual. Lyra's smile was small but sincere. Yes, but tonight is special. Tonight you were observed, guided, and reflected upon. This night will stay with you, and it will shape you. Alex leaned back on his bed, staring at the ceiling. The revelation, the quiet lessons, the subtle tests, all of it pressed against his mind. He felt tired yet alert, anxious yet calm. For the first time he realized that strength was not always in action or bravery in danger. It could also be in honesty, reflection, and connection. Lyra watched him for a long moment, her eyes reflecting something deeper than curiosity. You have done well, she said softly. Not because you followed instructions, but because you revealed who you truly are. That is rare. That is precious. That is strength. Alex exhaled, letting the weight of her words settle. The night had changed him. He did not know what would come next, but he felt certain of one thing. Humans, with all their flaws, fears, and contradictions, had something worth noticing. Something worth respecting. Something even an alien like Lyra could see and honor. Outside, the planet rotated silently under the station. Inside, two beings, one human, one alien, sat in quiet reflection, understanding, and newfound respect. And in that quiet moment, Alex realized that the night would stay with him forever. The small station room was still, the only sound the faint hum of the air systems. Alex sat cross-legged on his bed, his eyes fixed on the alien across the room. Lyra had not moved much since the door locked. She sat with a calmness that seemed endless, her posture straight, her breathing slow, her strange eyes fixed on him as though she could see more than just the surface. Alex felt restless. His fingers tapped against his leg. The hours dragged on, and though the night outside the station stretched deep and dark, inside the room time felt heavier. He wanted to stand, to pace, to move, but Lyra's presence kept him seated. There was something steady about her, something that told him movement would break the fragile balance between them. Finally, he spoke. You could at least tell me why I can't leave. Why keep me here all night? Lyra tilted her head slightly, her eyes never leaving his. Because the night is for truth. During the day, humans hide behind duty, noise, and distraction. At night, when there is nothing else, the self is revealed. Alex frowned. That sounds like something from a philosophy class. Perhaps, Lyra replied calmly. But it is real. Tonight, you cannot run from yourself. Her words unsettled him. Alex leaned back against the wall, crossing his arms. He wanted to argue, to tell her she was wrong, but part of him knew she wasn't. Already the silence and stillness of the room had pulled thoughts from his mind he had tried to bury for years. Memories of failure, regrets, questions about who he really was beyond the tasks and missions that filled his life. To push the silence away, he asked, "Do all of your people do this? Keeping others awake all night to reflect?" Lyra's gaze softened. "No, it is rare. Only in times of deep learning. Only when there is something hidden that must be found." Alex gave a short laugh, though there was no humor in it. "And you think I'm hiding something?" "I do." The light of the distant sun had grown stronger, spilling across the station windows and bathing the small room in soft gold. The planet below shimmered like a jewel, oceans reflecting the rising light and forests glowing faintly in the early dawn. Inside the room, Alex sat on his bed staring at Lyra with a quiet sense of awe. The night had been long, full of revelations, laughter, questions, and shared stories. He had learned more about himself in these hours than he had in months of missions, training, and research. And now, as the new day began, he felt a strange mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. Lyra watched him, her posture graceful, calm, and patient. She had guided him through the night without forcing him, observing without judgment and teaching without words. Her presence had been constant, steady like a lighthouse in the darkness. "You have grown tonight, Alex," Lyra said softly, her voice gentle. "You have reflected. You have learned. And you have revealed yourself fully. That is rare." Alex smiled faintly, feeling a warmth spread through him. I feel different," he admitted. "I understand. A lot more than I expected. About myself, about humans, about life." Lyra nodded. "Yes, that is the purpose of reflection. To see what is hidden beneath the surface, to understand strength, courage, and connection. You have done well." Alex looked at her, really looked at her for the first time since the night had begun. She was beautiful in a quiet, natural way, with eyes that seemed to hold the wisdom of countless experiences, and a calm presence that could make even the most restless human feel grounded. And more than that, he realized that she was patient, intelligent, and caring, qualities that went far beyond appearance. "I never thought I would spend a night like this," he said softly, "talking, learning, and just being. But I'm glad I did." Lyra's eyes reflected a faint glimmer of satisfaction. "That is the reward of understanding. Not action, not achievement, but connection. You have connected, Alex. That is the true lesson." The room was quiet for a moment, filled only with the soft hum of the station and the gentle light of dawn. Alex felt the weight of the night settle into him, not as exhaustion, but as knowledge, understanding, and a sense of purpose. "Will you leave now?" he asked quietly, knowing the night was over. Lyra shook her head. "Not yet. There is one last thing." She reached to the table and touched the holographic display. It shifted, revealing a small, intricate symbol from her homeworld. The symbol glowed softly, almost like it was alive. "This," she said, "is a symbol of respect from my people. It is given only to those who show patience, courage, and understanding. You have earned it tonight. It is not a reward for success, but a recognition of connection." Alex leaned forward, studying the symbol. It was delicate yet powerful, a visual representation of values that transcended species. He felt a rush of gratitude, understanding that this small gesture carried more weight than words could express. I don't know what to say," he admitted. "Thank you, truly." Lyra smiled faintly. "No thanks are necessary. The bond is mutual. You have shared, revealed, and reflected. That is enough." Alex leaned back in his chair, closing his eyes briefly. The exhaustion of the night pressed on him, but it was a pleasant weariness, a sign that he had fully engaged, fully participated, and fully learned. And for the first time he realized that the lessons he had received were not limited to this night or this room. They would stay with him, shaping his choices, his observations, and his connections for years to come. He opened his eyes again, watching Lyra move gracefully across the room. She adjusted the holographic display, then turned to him, her gaze steady and warm. "You will leave now," she said softly. "But remember, the lessons remain. Reflection remains. Connection remains. Do not forget." Alex nodded, feeling a sense of quiet determination. "I won't. I've learned more tonight than I ever imagined I could." Lyra's expression softened. "Good, that is enough for now. But know this, the bond we have formed will continue. Observation will continue. Learning will continue. This night was a beginning, not an end." Alex smiled, a genuine warmth spreading through him. He realized that this night, strange and unexpected as it had been, had given him something far greater than knowledge or cultural insight. It had given him perspective, awareness, and a connection that transcended species. He stood, stretching slightly, feeling the weight of the night lift from his shoulders. "I guess I'm free to leave now?" he asked, trying to hide a trace of hesitation. Lyra stepped aside, allowing him access to the door. "Yes, you are free, but do not forget what you have learned. And do not forget the value of connection." Alex nodded, feeling a sense of reverence for the lessons and the bond he had experienced. He had entered the room confused, nervous, and unsure. He was leaving with understanding, respect, and a sense of awe at the universe and the beings that inhabited it. He paused at the doorway, glancing back at Lyra. "Will I see you again?" Lyra smiled faintly, a hint of mystery in her gaze. "Yes, our paths will cross again. But tonight was unique. Remember it well." Alex nodded, stepping through the doorway and into the small corridor of the station. The soft hum of machinery surrounded him, familiar yet new in the context of the lessons he had learned. He walked slowly, savoring the feeling of movement after the stillness of the night, yet carrying the knowledge, reflection, and connection with him. He reached the common area of the station and looked out the window at the distant planet. The sun rose fully, painting the oceans and forests in brilliant colors. Alex felt a quiet thrill of possibility. He had been changed. He had learned. He had connected, and he realized that this experience, shared with an alien who refused to let him leave, would shape him in ways he had yet to understand. As he turned to continue his day, a small note caught his eye on the corridor table. A personal message from Lyra. It was brief, yet full of meaning. "You have shown courage, curiosity, and heart. Remember these always. The universe is vast, and understanding begins with connection." Alex smiled, feeling a sense of warmth and gratitude. He tucked the note safely into his pocket and continued walking, ready to face the day, ready to explore, and ready to apply the lessons of the night. For the first time in a long while, he felt truly awake, not just physically but mentally and emotionally. He had discovered the importance of patience, reflection, and connection. He had shared fears, hopes, and stories with a being from another world. He had revealed himself and in turn had been honored and respected. And as he looked back one last time at the room he had shared with Lyra, he knew that humans, with all their complexities, flaws, and strengths, had something truly remarkable: the ability to connect, to learn, and to understand, even across worlds. The universe stretched out before him, vast and mysterious. But Alex no longer felt small or uncertain. He had been guided, observed, and taught. He had paused, reflected, and connected. And he knew that the lessons of the night would stay with him forever, shaping the human spirit within him and inspiring him to see the universe in a way he had never imagined. As he walked down the corridor, the sunlight catching the edges of the station panels, Alex felt a quiet excitement for the days to come. He had faced the unknown, shared himself, and learned from someone entirely different. And in doing so, he had discovered the enduring truth of connection. It could bridge worlds, transform lives, and illuminate even the darkest night. And in that realization, Alex smiled, ready for whatever the universe might bring next. The soft glow of the station's lights began to fade as the first rays of the distant sun crept across the windows. The planet below shimmered in quiet blues and greens, reflecting the early light that stretched across its oceans and forests. Inside the small room, Alex stirred, blinking against the dim illumination. He had spent most of the night talking, laughing, and learning with Lyra, and though he was tired, he felt awake in a way that he had never experienced before. His mind buzzed with thoughts of the conversation, the lessons, and the strange, calm presence of his alien roommate. Lyra sat across from him, still composed, her eyes calm and focused. She observed him with quiet patience, as if reading the thoughts he had not yet spoken aloud. "Good morning, Alex," she said softly. Alex managed a small smile. "Morning," he replied. His voice was hoarse from talking all night, but he didn't care. I think I understand now." Lyra's gaze brightened slightly. "Understand what? That? Everything," Alex said, gesturing vaguely at the room, the station, and even at her. "Why you made me stay. Why you asked me so many questions. Why the night felt so important." Lyra nodded slowly. "Good, that is the first step. Understanding comes from reflection, not just observation. You have reflected." Alex leaned back in his chair, rubbing his eyes. He thought about the night, about the fears he had shared, the stories he had told, and the laughter that had filled the quiet space. He realized how much he had learned, not just about Lyra's species, but about himself. "I didn't think it would matter so much," he admitted. "I thought this was just a cultural exchange or maybe some strange experiment. But now I see it was more, much more." Lyra tilted her head slightly, studying him. "Yes, you see now that learning is not always in action. Sometimes it is in pause, in listening, in sharing. Humans often forget that." Alex nodded, feeling the truth of her words. For years he had rushed through,